I think you come to the Belgium to win it. One that show is fight.
Hello and welcome to the Don Morel Show, your chance to hear the thoughts and comments of the head football coach of the Little Giant program. And coach, coming back after another win, a good home victory, a 49-20 win over Oberlin. And we talked last week about Oberlin being a team that's much better than their record. And I think we saw that from them on Saturday. Had some good offensive weapons, but you were able to really execute some things, got some big plays. They were able to get some big plays to get some points on the board, but you just had a little more firepower than they had.
We did. Also, I think it's a game where the score looks big, but if you were at the game, it's a hard-fought game, and they've got a new coaching staff. They're trying to do things the right way, and I think they could be a formidable opponent down the road.
We've got a lot of highlights to look at, so let's go ahead and start them right now. You did get, despite people are going to look at the box score and say, wow, that's a lot of yards for Oberlin. They got some big plays.
Yeah.
But you also had some really good defensive plays. You had 2 interceptions. Giovanni Zabala had a really nice interception where he cut in front of the pass. He also blocked a kick. Jose Franco was your leading tackler. He knocked a ball away from a receiver that then ended up in an interception when Will Netting got the loose ball. Jose also blocked a kick that Casey Crozier then picked up to take the other direction. So despite some yardage again in that box score, it was a really solid effort by your defense overall.
I am not a huge stat guy, but it's disappointing. We gave up an 80-yard pass in the fourth quarter. That should never happen. So you subtract 80 from whatever the total is, and then we gave up another. They had 2 plays that were probably 160 yards. We have to correct those mistakes. So,
offensively, really got things going early. I mean, both the running game and the passing game. Liam Thompson is the North Coast Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Week after throwing for 2 touchdowns. You end up running for 4 touchdowns on the ground, and you got your own set of big plays. In fact, after Oberlin scored, you got your offense on the field and 2 very quick strikes, one to Nick Hammond for 37 yards, and then the touchdown to a wide-open Cooper Sullivan, a double move by Cooper. He left the defensive back in the dust, and Liam with an easy pass to him for the touchdown.
Really good. We like those chunk plays. We feel like we have not had that here in a long, long time. But certainly with Liam Thompson and the cast of wide receivers, and Jackson Smith Claiborne's a good player too. We've got a good group out there.
And talk about your offensive line as well, because you've gotten good performance weekly. Donovan Snyder's one of the leading he is the leading rusher in the conference. He's among the leading rushers in the nation, averaging just a tick under 100 yards a game. He has had 2 100-yard rushing games this year, but with those 4 rushing touchdowns, the offensive line just continues to be very solid week in, week out, and that's regardless of who you're rolling in there. You've had a chance to look at some different players on the O-line as part of the starting group or a group seeing a lot of time, and they have really put in a week-by-week solid performance.
They have, and they're probably under-recognized like most offensive lines, but Brandon English, Thomas Bolin, Joe Mullen, Dane Smith, we've played well up front, and they get better every week.
You also got a chance late in the game to get a look at some players that haven't had a lot of playing time. To think specifically about Blake White, who scored his first collegiate touchdown, but another solid week for Noah Bierma, who was in at running back late in the ball game and actually led your team in carries because you were able to utilize him to run out the clock. A lot of those guys, and you got some backup offensive linemen in as well, and the same thing on the defense, and never really saw a drop-off with either group, and that's really a credit to the preparation they do during the week.
Yeah, it was, and it had an interesting situation where Liam had a little ankle tweak, and we just didn't want to play him anymore, but we still had a half hour of football left. We had 2 full quarters. Blake did a really nice job. He's going to be a great player here, I have no doubt. And then that was also our number 2 offensive line. So we did get to play a lot of kids. That was exciting.
The kicking game got off to a rough start at the beginning of the year, but it has really solidified itself the last few weeks. Jacob Handley has done an excellent job on extra points, has been solid on field goals, and of course, Joey Ane just continues to be Joey Ane. Still leads the nation in punting, 44.1 yards per punt. Has 3 of the 12 longest punts in the nation this year among Division III players. How important is it to be able to have confidence in that kicking game, both punting and extra points and field goals?
It's really important, and coaches will say we need to be good in all 3 phases of the game. Rarely does that happen, but when you're really good in the kicking game, it can cover up for a bad offensive day or a bad defensive day too.
Last week you talked about kickoff coverage. Seemed to be very solid this past week. Connor Thompson, Liam's younger brother, had a couple of really big tackles on kick coverage, and you got to see a lot of the kick coverage team with scoring 49 points. Your kickoff team was on the field quite a bit. Were you pleased with the improvement you saw from that group?
Absolutely. We were just way, way better in where we wanted the ball kicked, the depth of the kick, and then most importantly, we needed to be more physical on the coverage, and we definitely were.
Wabash with that 49-20 victory over Oberlin to improve to 5-0 overall, 4-0 in the North Coast Athletic Conference. Another home game this week now against a very tough College of Wooster. They have the conference's leading passer in Mateo Renteria. They bring in one of the top tight ends in the nation in Cole Hissong. Obviously, Mateo's leading receiver. He is a handful to cover. What have you seen looking at Wooster preparing for this game that you're focused on it as a coach?
Well, they're just year in and year out. They're a tough opponent. The last time we had a football season here, they beat us, and they thumped us good too. So on offense for Wooster, it starts with the quarterback. He can move around. He causes problems. Defensively, it's just a nightmare, but we're taking that step by step. Defensively, they're very sound. They make you earn every yard down the field. They don't give up big plays. So this is going to be, I don't think we have any easy games ever, but this one's going to be especially tough.
Their lineup on their 2-deep shows as a 3-2 with 6 defensive backs listed as safeties with 2 corners. Does that provide you an opportunity to try and really establish the running game more this week, or do you really look at doing any kind of changes in the offensive game plan without giving away too much to our offense?
I get that question all the time, and there are those that think, a 3-2 defense, they're not going to be able to stop the run. I've watched 5 games, people trying to run the ball at them, and it's hard to do. There are a lot of guys flying around. They play with tremendous effort, and they are well coached.
How important is it with that type of defense to really limit the it's obviously important every week to limit the turnovers. That was what hurt us in 2019. They came away with 3 interceptions, including 1 late as we were driving. Does that become even a bigger focus, or does it stay the same level that it is every week?
Well, it's a combination of what they do defensively, and then if you turn it over, the quarterback gets the ball and another opportunity to score. So you just don't want to go down that drain because it's tough to dig your way out of it.
Does time of possession become important this week? Last week we talked about Oberlin used time of possession in their favor. They averaged about 10 minutes of football more than their opponents on offense, and that was really how they've been able to stay in some games, give themselves some opportunities to try and get a win. Does it become important to be able to maximize your possessions this week against the type of talent that you'll see from Wooster?
It does. You just don't want to be sloppy and give them 2 extra possessions, because that really could be 14 points pretty quick.
That game will kick off at 1 o'clock this week. It's Wabash versus the College of Wooster right here at Little Giant Stadium. GMA Madon, Steve Hoffman will have all the action for you on the Wabash Video Network. It will open with this Don Morel show, and then they will take you through the opening kickoff all the way to the final gun. As again, that game kicks off at 1 o'clock. Tickets are still available. It's fall break, so Wabash won't have students here. So we're really looking for extra support to rally the troops here during the game from the fans. So make sure you check out wabashtickets.com to get your tickets to Saturday's game against Wooster. Of course, Monon Bell tickets are on sale on that website as well. I can tell you that the reserve parking is sold out. The tailgating spots, I believe, are sold out, and RV parking is sold out for the Monon Bell game. But tickets are still available. There were fewer than 4,000 tickets as of this morning, so you do want to get on that website. That's wabashtickets.com. You want to get on that as soon as possible and make sure you secure your Monon Bell tickets for the game on November 13th. But we focus again on the College of Wooster. Coach, best of luck this Saturday, and let's hope we can bring home another W.
Thanks. I'm also excited to welcome the 2011 team back. It's now been a decade, but we'll have members of the 2011 NCAC championship team here with us Saturday.
And a team that picked up one of the all-time great victories in Wabash College history. And we're actually, as part of the halftime show on Saturday on the Wabash Video Network, we're going to show the last few minutes of the Wabash win over North Central in the 2011 NCAA Division III playoffs. It is an ending to a game you will never forget. If you haven't seen it, you'll want to make sure you're watching. Stay in your seats at halftime so you can watch that video and see one of the great endings in college football. Coach, again, thank you for your time today, and we'll talk to you next week after we get hopefully a W on Saturday.
Thank you.
You've been watching the Don Morel Show, your chance to hear the thoughts and comments of the head football coach of the Little Giant program. We'll talk to you next week.
I think you come to the Belgium to win it. Wabash always fight.